In today's gospel, we get one of those famous healing miracles that Jesus does. In this case, he cures a blind man. Now, he does this in a couple places in the gospels, but today's account is from Mark. I really like this little one. It says that when Jesus and his disciples arrived in Bethsaida, people brought to him a blind man and begged Jesus to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him outside the village. Putting spittle on his eyes, he laid his hands on the man and asked, "Do you see anything?" Looking up, the man replied, "I see people looking like trees and walking." Then he laid hands on the man's eyes a second time, and he saw clearly. His sight was restored, and he could see everything distinctly. Then he sent him home and said, "Do not even go into the village." Now, there's a couple reasons that I like this gospel. One is me being a sacramental theologian. I love the fact that Jesus does this healing literally using material stuff. Sometimes Jesus just says, be healed. I will it, and he's healed. Here he actually takes spittle, saliva. In another passage, he actually makes mud out of it. Jesus heals people using the actual stuff of the earth. That's the whole basis of the sacramental system of how God gives us his grace. He's not afraid to use physical things like water and oil, bread and wine, things like that. So I like that this healing takes place using physical stuff. It's as if Jesus is a little bit trying to lubricate his eyes so that they could work better. That's what grace does for us. And isn't it great that God uses the stuff of this world to do it? But the second reason why I really like this passage is because, well, Jesus anoints his eyes first, and he's only partly cured. He's like, "Oh, I could see. I see people, but they're like trees." I don't know exactly what that means, but it's clear that the healing is not quite done yet. So Jesus does it again. Now, Jesus is God. As I said, he could have just wished it in his heart that the man be healed, and he was. Not only does he stoop to use like spittle, the stuff of the world, but it takes him two times. Why? Well, I love this because it kind of shows that God's grace often works gradually. We often, of course, want a miracle. Something terrible is going on. We want healing. We pray for a miracle, and we want Jesus just to fix it, like right away. Jesus, answer my prayer. Fix it right now. Well, Jesus could, but somehow in his providence, he knows that that's not always exactly what we need. And so, in the case of this blind man, he tries once, and it's not so much that it didn't work, it's just that it's not fully done yet. And so he does it again, and now the man can see clearly. I wonder in my own life how many times I have not been patient enough with God in his working. Our first reading today talks all about, being quick to hear and slow to speak. How many times on the internet do we see that people are slow to speak and quick to hear? No, we want things fast. If I feel some way, I'm going to post it on Facebook and put messages all over the place. And I'm going to just say what I want to say. And sometimes we're not very patient. I definitely find that in my own life. I'm often maybe too quick to speak. And when it comes to healing or things I want God to do, well, I want it right now. I think the truth is that God is answering our prayers. He is working a miracle right now. It's just that it's probably gradual because those instantaneous miracles that just happen in a flash and everybody's cured, they do happen. Obviously, Jesus did things like that in the scriptures, and we continue today. Every time there's a saint canonized, normally there's some miracle that took place that happened instantaneously without explanation. And those things are wonderful. It reminds us, wow, God is all powerful. But that same all powerful God is also all knowing. And sometimes he knows that what we most need is not an instantaneous cure, rather, that patient, listening, accepting gradually the inflowing of God's grace into our lives. Today, how are you doing on that? Maybe you need a miraculous heal. Maybe God will give you a miraculous healing. But probably what he's more likely to give you is a little bit of his grace every day, what we would call sufficient grace, the daily bread of the Our Father. It is a miracle. It's just that it's maybe happening gradually. I hope you find that gradual miracle today. God bless you.